questions we should ask ourselves when we decide, I'm going to put a garden in?
Yeah, beginners and those of us that have been at it for a while, site selection is important. All your warm season crops, anything that sets fruit of all types, whether the fruit is a pepper or whether the fruit's a strawberry, full sun. So you got to have sun, take down a tree or two, thin a little bit if you need to. Partial shade for the greens, and there's a lot of good potential there. Everything from lettuce to spinach will take partial shade. Fruit, got to have full sun. Soils are going to be critical, whether they're in a raised bed or whether they're out in your backyard garden. You want to make sure that you've got good drainage. Raise the bed if you need to, either a raised bed or just pulling the soil up, and then be sure that you've got good and adequate nutrition, and that does start with a soil test from the University of Minnesota or the University of Wisconsin. We're not partial, are we? Right. They do a great job. These are, and we're just joking, but these are actually certified labs, meaning your results are going to be very, very reliable, and the results will stand up in a courtroom challenge if need be. So get some good information, University of Minnesota, University of Wisconsin soil test labs. Okay. And then nutrients, absolutely essential. So you want a soil test, you want to optimize, not too much, not too little. We don't want a bag, just grab a bag of 10, 10, 10, constantly be pouring in more nutrient than we need. Too much of a good thing can be bad. We got to get that pH, the acid range in an appropriate range. And we want to look at organic matter as well. So we're going to compost everything we possibly can and make sure we're incorporating some additional organic matter. Variety selection, extremely important, and we'll be talking in future shows about that, particularly for us this far north, particularly with warm season crops.
And what about spacing? Why is that important?
Well, spacing is important because some plants you think you're getting by cramming them together when really you're diminishing the productivity. Let's take a look at an eggplant, which we can grow in this area under warmer conditions, and we're introducing more people as the climate's warming a little bit. You put them 8 to 10 inches apart, you might get one fruit, spread them out to 18 inches, vigorous plant, and you're going to get 3, 4, 5, 6 fruit per plant. So you really have to take a look at every transplant you've got. You want to give them enough room, and even if you have fewer plants, you want to optimize the room, and you're going to get higher yields as a result, and less work to do as well.
I'm all for that. And water wisely.
And we're going to talk a lot about watering because once again, we want to avoid overhead watering. We want to do more and more down on the ground line with ooze tubes, perforated hose, trickle tapes. These are the things that get the water down where it's needed. We don't need it in the foliage. We want it in the ground. It also minimizes evaporation of water, which is one thing that's contributing to the difficulty we're having in the atmosphere with climate change. It's not just CO2, but there's also a lot of water vapor that's been evaporating and it's causing some of these weather issues. So keep the moisture to the plant when it needs it down on the ground.